Hello everyone, welcome back. We're doing a bonus stream. I'm just gonna work on some more content. I think doing some of the stuff that I mentioned in the stream earlier today. I actually haven't done any other work since we ended the stream. Took a break for lunch and had to do some chores and whatnot, but we're back at it. So, oh, this is a bug. This should go over here. So yeah, I'm thinking we just add more content. So we could do something like, let's do, we're kind of like on a healing kick. So let's do maybe a reagent that protects heal abilities. So I gotta start filling out all these reagents. Reagent protects heal abilities. And we're going to need flavor text for that as well. So we just got to fill out all this stuff. Reagent, here we go. Preserves only heal, so we'll delete that one from there. Convert. We need all the conversion stuff too. Add tag. We don't have any add tag ones. That's interesting. Oh, this would be an interesting one too. Adjacent allied items gain a random tag. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and start with that reagent. But before I do, hello, Clickertail. Welcome. Hello, Nathan. Good to see you. Hello, Necromantic. Good to see you. Junie, welcome. Jack, welcome back. Hello, Gimity. Welcome. Finally want to run using only reagents as Firebelly intended. I saw that. That's pretty funny, actually. Have you ever thought about using a tool outside of Obsidian to track your tickets? Welcome, Andrew. No, I haven't really found a need to do that. I think some things like managing like milestones and whatnot would be nice. The more sort of sprint-based kind of structuring. Not to say that I would go all in on that, but being able to track like a parent item while you're doing individual items would be nice, but I haven't wanted it that strongly to want to switch to using a different tool, so we'll call this one Sprig. Is that the right term? I think it is, right? A small shoot, a twig. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Load default palette. Basically just going to copy. I wonder if, yeah, maybe I'll do something like something like this. I'm drawing a lot of leaves today, I guess. We'll go with that one, I suppose. Like this, and then we'll do a little one here. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, something like that is probably all right. Make it look a little bit more irregular shaped. All right, and then we're gonna tie it. We actually, yeah, I already know what I'm gonna do with respect to the flavor text for this. So yeah, it should be good actually. Because there's a, what is it called? The branch of life or something in the game. It's an enemy item. So this could be called a sprig of life. And it can be from the tree. There we go. We've got the we've got the flavor text worked out already. That's good. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, something like that works, I think. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that out. We will figure that out in a second. Alrighty. I think that's okay. Maybe up here, just make this a little bit darker. Do I want to also do... some kind of like extra branch down here, fill out the space a little bit more maybe. Although that would look a little bit weird. If I was going to add one, it would be up here somewhere. Honestly, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, maybe that's fine. What do I want to do about this one? I think that's fine. Whatever. I think that's okay. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. Very, very basic item. Very, very basic, very easy. Sprig. And now we can do the abilities. All my streamers are live at the same time. I'll sue you. I'm sorry. Minty Fresh. Would you consider yourself first, second, or third monitor content? Oh, definitely second monitor. Not first monitor. First monitor is where you do the important stuff. But second monitor is usually the monitor where it's kind of in your field of vision, right? It's kind of like something that you can glance over and look at so you can see what's going on. Third monitor is usually something that's a little bit less accessible than that in my experience. So yeah, I think second monitor is a good choice. I don't think you can go wrong. Although when I come in, you're making new art, I have to guess what it is without looking at the file name, and I always get it wrong. It's like Wordle, kind of version of Wordle. Pizza or a burger for dinner? Hello, Emerson. New reagent, yes. Welcome, Johan. Pizza with burger toppings. I think your C is missing a pufferfish. That's true. Yeah, pufferfish would be a good one. I am not opposed to that in the slightest. Preserve ability type. Keyword. Keywords dot heal. I think that's literally all I need to do. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, I do have to edit this stuff. One by one, reagent. I guess I should go through all the reagents and set the critical bonus to something different. Maybe I'll write that down. Sorry, I'm gonna have to nerf reagents. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make artifacts and board effects apply to reagents. but increase reagent cooldown and set all reagent critical bonus to 0. So I was thinking about it and I was like, it feels a little bit arbitrary for reagents to not be affected by things. I mean, it's not arbitrary in the sense that it makes sense, but at the same time, I don't want to just do like a whole lot of special carve out rules for different types of items. I'd rather everything just works in the same way. So what I think I'll do is I'll make artifacts affect reagents, but then I'll nerf the reagents a little bit so that they're not as useful just as combat things, but you could still use them situationally, or if like you want to do a challenge run with just reagents, you can. I think that's fine. And it's just adding a bunch of it's not adding a bunch of complexity, but every time I add a new artifact, I have to remember to like specifically exclude reagents, and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. All right, let's see if this works. So the nice thing about these kinds of reagents is that they're really easy to do because I already have the ability set up for it, and I don't need to make any code changes. I don't think, anyway. In my case, this is only monitor content. I'm happy with that change. As I learned the Ring of the Departed didn't affect reagents today, I was disappointed. Yeah, I just think, yeah, it would be better just to make everything behave consistently. And if the reagents are too powerful as combat things, then I think the answer there is just to increase their turn cooldowns and also just remove their crit bonuses. I think that's a good, like, middle ground. Reagents aren't supposed to be attractive options for your combat board, but if you're clever and you can use them correctly, or you just want to fill in a 1x1 slot for adjacency purposes, you can certainly do that. So I think that's fine. Whoa, add item sprig. I forgot to build the translations. Classic. So that's protected now. Throw this guy in. Legendary, wow. So that seems to be working. I mean, we could just give it an extra. Oh, you know what I need to do? This is just adjacent. Do I want to give it different? What is the other one? Add item, newt tail. So all of these protection things are just adjacent. That's probably all right. I mean, it's fine, I guess. But the other one is add item thorns. I think this one is a different size. What is the other one? Add item. Oh, how many other of these items do I have? Alchemy preservability type. Death cap. Oh, death cap. Amber is armor. Bleed. Damage. Poison. Armor. So now we've got the heal one. We've got fire. I guess the other things to do would be like confusion, paralysis, etc. Anyway, add sprig item. Goodbye. I mean, see you later. I mean, it's going off into the cloud, so I don't know. Thought it was appropriate to give it a send off. Anyway, we want to do flavor text for that, but I'll do that off stream. So we'll do another one. High honorary Brazilian. All right, so let's add moon cycles. Remember when we were talking about doing that? Cards that are only acquirable in the shop. I kind of want to do this. This is kind of like a tangent. I mean, well, It auto-translated you again. Oh, I see. Yeah, the YouTube thing has a little auto-translate icon next to it. The thing is, when it ends up in my social stream, I can't even tell that that message was originally like in a different language. So it just ends up as English in my social stream instead of the original. That's kind of funny. All right, let's make a... I kind of want to do a katana, honestly. I have to let my inner weeb out, I guess. Card creation tool. Create. I have to let the inner weeb out, be free. Let's see me draw the worst katana of all time. There we go. Actually, I think that shape is almost good. I wonder, is it... Would it be reasonable to do this? Perhaps not. What does a katana even look like? Actually, that doesn't look terrible. I think I want to change the... Problem is, it doesn't look that great. Try changing. It's just gonna look a little bit weird, I think. Actually, it doesn't look terrible. It may be too long though. Maybe if I want to shrink it over a little bit? Let's see. It almost looks too thin. Well, what does it look like if I fill it in? Oh, yeah, see, that looks a little bit too thick when it's filled. It's weird how it looks different when it's filled in, even though the boundaries are the same. But that's okay, we'll just... See, that looks more reasonable now. Probably want to round that off a little bit. I'll look at a katana reference in a second, but first, I want to see if I could do it a respectable attempt without any reference aids. Yeah, it's just gonna look weird at the tip, I think. Yeah, well, let's just continue on. We'll see how it looks when I add shading, and then if it still looks weird, I will fix it. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people mad at me in the chat. No, you're not doing it right. You didn't fold the steel enough times. I don't know what it is, but like drawing like swords and stuff is really freaking hard. But this is one of those cases where maybe it will look better with some shading. I think part of the reason it looks weird is because, see, that looks more like a scimitar now. Part of the reason it looks weird is because it doesn't have any shading, so maybe part of the reason too is the proportions are off. The problem is if I make it too thin, it's gonna look like a little toothpick. So what happens if I just do some very basic shading here? Very basic. Just pillow shade it to start. So that looks terrible, as expected. But then yeah, that looks terrible. What happens if I go down the middle? Flip this around, maybe? Yeah, that doesn't look right. Break up the line a little bit. Nope, that doesn't look right either. What if I do more subtle? Let's see. So I do something like this. That may work a little bit better. We're just doodling. No, that looks terrible. Okay. Let me do, let's see. I'm gonna look for pixel art katana specifically. I don't know how to draw. It's just gonna look weird. Like the stair step nature of it just looks off. The problem with searching for these on Google is that the examples aren't that great either. That one's okay. So that one has a lighter curve to it. So maybe if I can accomplish that. There are people who are just drawing it straight. I think that's cheating if you ask me. That one looks pretty nice. That one looks like the problem I'm having. That one actually looks pretty nice. I suspect that that's AI though. Looks kind of weird. That's about the quality of my katana too. That one's nice. I like that one. It's got more of like a Middle Eastern vibe to it though. That one's kind of nice. Again though, what is up with that image? Okay, so I think maybe one of my problems is that I put too much curvature into it. So the straight part, this is a good example. The straight part is a lot straighter, and also it looks like the blade is the same width as the hilt. So if I start with those two things, so if I say, I mean, I almost accomplished that. Okay, so let's try doing that. But first, shows up as Portuguese. These are old chats. Katanas aren't really made for stabbing. I'm mad. Shadow is the culprit. Oh, it's just closer to a see, I knew this was going to happen. That's AI for certain. Straight base, curved tip. Yes. Okay. So we're just going to do very basic to start. We're going to take this. We're going to make the handle much longer. Okay. So already looking decent. We're going to get rid of all this. We're just going to use white for this. Okay. So we're going to go. Do I even have enough room for this now? Also, should I shrink it? It might actually look pretty decent if I did it thinner like this. Okay. The problem is this little stair step part is going to be somewhat annoying, but let's see. Do I want to add? No. See, that looks weird if I add that. Actually, that looks fine. Maybe I'll make it go up a little bit more. It looks too curved. Do I want to move this up one? I think that looks better. That's what this guy did. Whoever drew this. Let's see. So it looks like whoever drew this offset the steps as well. So it looks like the back curve end dips lower than this end. So if I follow that, the back curve end dips like 1 pixel lower. So that was what I was initially doing. I think maybe that will be okay. It looks weird in this case, though. But I don't really know what to do about that. I think the tip is just going to look weird no matter what I do. I mean, I think that looks decent, though. As a shape, I don't know. There's still something weird about it. I think one of the problems is it doesn't look like it's narrowing at all when it gets up to this part. So maybe I want to do a step down here and a step down there. Oh, yeah, maybe a step down there and no step downs there. Oh, man. It's so hard to get this to look good. It is so hard to get this to look good. Let's see, though. Maybe it looks more respectable now. Maybe it looks more respectable. We'll see. What happens if I do... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it looks... It's just the weird, like, pixel pattern that has to happen here. Vote yes on the shrinkage. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome. If you peek at an actual katana, the curve is pretty much consistent across the entire blade hilt. Never goes straight. Yeah, but that's not possible to accomplish with a too wide pixel line. Like, I've only shifted it over 3 times. And yeah. This is, I mean, I don't know. This is certainly better. Started curving too soon. Give it a little X rotation to counterbalance the curvy tip. The other thing is I think this is flipped the wrong way. Started curving too soon. So let's do this. I could see why people drew it just straight to begin with. Oh wait, that looks fine. And then maybe... Yeah, that looks too curvy now. Maybe I can remove one of these curve steps though. Maybe if I just do that and shrink it down. Did I butcher it? Actually, that doesn't look terrible. I don't want to make it curve too much, so maybe we do this. I think that looks better. Push the handle back. What does that mean? Push it back? What if you just slightly curve the bottom too? Texture on the handle. Yeah, I mean, we're going to texture it up. Like 1 step close to the hilt. I mean, I'm going to fill in details here. This is just a placeholder. I don't know. The katana has a call arc, not just a one-way bend. I don't know what that means. But we are going to roll with this. We are, in the immortal words of Limp Bizkit, going to keep rolling. Well, whatever. We'll figure it out. It looks a little bit more respectable now with some shading. I think. I don't know. You could tell me if you disagree, I guess. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to do something like this. That did not quite turn out the way that I wanted it to. Okay, let's just get rid of all this stuff. Okay. I know they don't usually have hilts like that, so maybe I'll just make it brighter. Yeah, maybe that's fine. This may be too dark, though. Is it too dark? Maybe. Section of the bottom starting from the part of the blade close to the hilt and down. Curve the bottom third of the whole sword 1 pixel to the left. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that's gonna work. No matter where I cut it, it looks too curved. So I don't think it's going to be possible to give the impression of more curvature at this pixel scale because there's not enough precision, right? No matter where I cut this, if I shift it, it's going to immediately look bad. Whichever way I go. Yeah. It looks like a katana. I mean, like I said, I think it's respectable. I think people will know what it is. Curvature weirdness aside. Yeah, I think it's probably okay. So we're going to make this a minion. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it looks bad, pixel art thing. Yeah, that's the struggle, right? It's like, I understand what you're saying, like about the curvature. It's just when you have a 2 pixel wide line to work with, a shift of 1 pixel over is 50% of the width of that section, right? So it's like, when I might be looking for something more of like 10 or 25%. So that's just how it is. That's the challenge of pixel art. That is the challenge of pixel art. It looks a little bit noisy. I might just get rid of that. I'm trying to break up the highlights a little bit, but also I think that looks bad sometimes too, so yeah, we'll just go with this. It's fine. So from like the player scale perspective, that's what it's going to look like. And actually, maybe it just needs to go down a little bit more as well. I actually think, well, let's see. I'll go with that. Maybe not. Whatever. We'll just go with what I had. It's fine. Now I'm wondering. All right. I think I've been staring at it for too long now. All right, we'll just go with this for now. Could always adjust it later. Going on slowly with your C# grid puzzler on Udemy, you explained most of the things pretty nice. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Glad you're enjoying it. Did you pick C# over GDScript in your current game for some particular reason? No, just personal preference, really. Just I find it easier to design the systems that I need to design with C#, so that's basically the only reason. Just call it a yokai and give it the minion tag. Okay. We're going to give it the minion tag. Hello, Dozy Burrito. Welcome. Okay. So, Katana. Let's give it the minion tag. It's a 1x3 item. Minion. Cooldown 53. I'm kidding. It's not going to be a minion. It's going to be a weapon. And I'm going to check this box, which I will not explain. Okay. Loot table weight. Let's turn it up. Critical bonus. So the question now becomes, what do we want to do with this? I think let me think. Obviously doing something kind of like bleed probably would work. Trying to think what interesting things can I give it here. We could give it some, like, something related to armor, perhaps. Something related to bleed. We could, let's see, bleed. What can we do with bleed? So I'm thinking, here's the 4 things that come to mind when I'm thinking katana. Okay, 5 things. Yeah, crit. So here's the 5 things that come to mind when I think of what the katana could do in this game. Bleed, something related to armor, paralysis, crit, and true damage. Those are the things that I think of. So we could give it something interesting, like some kind of condition, like if this item deals, more than X amount of damage, then apply some amount of bleed or something like that. Or we could do the paralysis thing. If this item applies more than X amount of damage, paralyze for some duration. Probably want to give it, yeah, some kind of innate ability as well. The problem is, let me think about this. Yeah, maybe innate. So we could do innate if this item dealt at least X damage since last execution. Paralyze. We could make the paralysis scaled off damage dealt or something. Or we could just make that. We could do, yeah, we could do how do I want to word this? I'm thinking paralyze a random item for like a duration for 0.5 seconds per 10 damage dealt by this item. Something like that. And then we can give it some kind of like true damage or something. Do we want to do anything else? If there is no adjacent weapon item, gain some kind of crit bonus or something. Critical bonus. I think that's a good set of abilities. So it will paralyze scaled with the damage that it deals. So if it deals a lot of damage in one turn, it will apply a long paralysis duration. We'll give it some base amount of true damage. That's very simple. And then we'll just add a little restriction here. We'll give it crit bonus if there's not an adjacent weapon item. So that one specifically is designed to kind of thwart any weapon builds you might be doing, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I think there are clever ways around that. Or we could give it some other kind of restriction, like if this item is on the right edge of the board, gain crit bonus, you know, something like that. Just I want to add some kind of condition to gaining that crit bonus, I think. But this sounds good to me. Yeah, I think that sounds good. True Kit and Bleed are good ideas. Would it be cool if I had references to haiku, like deal 5 of something, apply 7 to something else? Oh, that is an interesting idea. I'm not creative enough for that, though, I guess. I'm thinking of honor, like if X adjacent item is honorable somehow. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know how would I do that? Well, let's start with these and then we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will implement those abilities. I don't think those are going to be difficult to implement, so probably will take 15 minutes to do all those, and then we can test it. Honorable could equal legendary. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I don't really have any items in the game that scale off of like adjacent legendary items. That is a good idea. I'll have to keep that in mind. There's so much like unexplored space here in terms of what I can do with the abilities. Like it's kind of weird. It's like sometimes I'm struggling to figure out like a new abilities to add to the game, and then like people will put in a suggestions channel in Discord like something that's like never even occurred to me, but it's perfectly doable in the game. So it's like, yeah, it's just there's so many. If I don't add any more features to Alchemortis, I could probably add 1,000 new items that just make use of the existing mechanics and stuff. So just got to figure out what those things are. Can my first game, even if it's noticeable that's not made by a professional, could be a success on Steam? I think so. I mean, it's not likely to happen. I don't think success is likely on Steam at all. It's really hard. But I don't think being a professional is kind of like a nebulous term, right? It's like there are professionals who are working in the game industry now who would be utterly incapable of making a game on their own because they have a very specialized skill set that they're applying at some bigger studio, right? So, you know, just because you're a good technical artist, that doesn't mean that you actually know like how to make a fun game, for example. And then there are people who, you know, are like me, and I'm not super successful. I wouldn't even say I'm successful at all on Steam, but I've sold a couple thousand copies of Godforged, and, you know, that was just like an amateur effort. It's nothing special, you know? So I think you can experience modest success without having any sort of professional background or being a professional, but I just think that label kind of means nothing. I think that ultimately it's like if your game is fun to play and it feels good and it has some visual consistency and it's just generally a well thought out experience, then I think people are going to like it. I mean, you could look at a game like Vampire Survivors. That game does not look good at all, right? That game looks terrible, but that apparently didn't matter, right? So yeah, I think it's possible. The hard thing is just making a game that people want to play, and there's a bunch of factors that go into that, but like players will overlook or ignore certain quote-unquote unprofessional aspects of your game if the rest of it is fine and fun. So yeah, gotta add mod support so the homies could do it for you. Yeah, we'll see. If the game is a big hit after release, then adding mod support would be fun. What's that board called? I've been looking for something like it. Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Yes, thank you, Gimity. For me, success to have at least 10 purchases. Yeah, that's definitely doable. That's definitely doable. Like, if my little twin stick shooter Gunforged can sell a couple thousand copies, then, you know, it's not that impressive of a game. And people still bought it and enjoyed it. So it's definitely possible to sell at least a handful of copies. But anyway, I'm going to be right back in 3 minutes and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. Time to start my 99th project without finishing the first 98. Yeah, you know, I wonder... I mean, I have a ton of unfinished projects too. I mean, I could just count up, like when I was using GameMaker. I could just count up all of the abandoned ones here. Okay, so let's see. So I'm looking at my file system. I have at least 47 GameMaker projects that never got finished. And that was before I started using Git, before I started using Godot. I've got like 100 plus private repositories. Granted, some of them are not game projects, but the vast majority of them are. So let's just say that it's 75 game projects there, which are either abandoned or maybe just like game jam projects. So yeah, probably approaching or at or around, what is that, like 100 and let's just call it like 125 abandoned projects over the years. And that might be a low estimate because there are situations where I just like opened something, prototyped it for a week, and then like I just like deleted it or didn't think to store it for whatever reason. So yeah, I would say that you're on the right track. I would say that you're on the right track. Gonna make a new GTA 6, small brain, big dreams. 67, dang, almost there. How much time did it take you to make Gunforged? I'm about to buy it. I play a lot. Take references along. Love the song of the store. Thank you. I mean, how long did it take? I think Gunforged was in development in some form or another for like 3 years. That wasn't 3 years of constant effort though, because Gunforged originally was just going to be like an Enter the Gungeon clone with like Noita style gun crafting, and then that didn't work. So, I mean, I tried a couple of iterations of that and that didn't work. And then I just decided, well, I'll just make it like Brotato with an arena. And then there was a bunch of problems there and like, yeah. So it took a while, but there were like multiple periods of time where I just like dropped the project for a while. I don't know why I kept coming back to it, but it's done. It's finished now. It's on Steam. But yeah, that was, I would say a lot of Gunforged development was not fun for a variety of reasons. All right, so let's do paralysis based on damage. What's going on here? Damage dealt provider. Count instances false. Oh wait, that's not what I want. Okay, self-damage dealt provider. Damage per, let's do const int. Well, actually, yeah, let's just make it simple. Damage per half second equals 10. Paralysis magnitude provider, new generic value provider. Int, I'm gonna take damage dealt provider dot get value divided by damage per half second. Times 5. Let's just do constant half second. Half second return. Okay. I guess it doesn't need to be parenthesized. That's all right. So is that right? So damage per half second times half second. That seems correct. Okay. Paralysis applicator is equal to new buff applicator, paralysis, target provider. Oh, I'm going to need a target provider. Initial base magnitude. Let's just do 0 here, and then we'll do magnitude. Actually, I don't think I need that, do I? Buff applicator. Oh, yeah, we'll just do paralysis, debuff, magnitude, new paralysis debuff magnitude as T. Okay. Buff applicator paralysis debuff. So I need the query target provider. So let's create that. Okay. Options.query source board equals false. Options.query target board equals true. Options.query directions board inventory component.query directions dot entire board. Options.order by random is equal to true. Options.limit is equal to 1. Cool. I think that's it. So then I put the query target provider in here. Paralysis applicator. Okay, this is paralysis by damage, something like that. So we want to put the query target provider in there. We want to do the damage dealt provider. And then we want to do the paralysis applicator. Scaling func. Oh. Maybe we bump this up. This might be a little bit OP, especially if you get past the cap, but let's do scale var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot make additive scalar -1. Current damage per half second is equal to scalar base damage. What is it? Damage per half second. Tier. We'll change this one to divided by current damage per half second. I think that's correct. Description template, we'll fill that out in a second. I think that's right. Oh, we need to make sure that this is clamped as well. Oh gosh, this is going to be nasty if you can get it down to 1, but mathf dot max of 1 and this. So we'll just make sure that that's clamped properly. All right, so how did I word this? Paralyze a random item. Keywords. Paralysis. Paralysis.paralyze.capitalized. Gosh, there's so much boilerplate to write in these. Paralyze a random item, a random enemy item for 1 second. Oh, this needs to be force card singular to true. For 1 second per 2 keywords dot damage dealt by this item since last execution. Goodness gracious. Okay. So we need the limit. So query target provider dot query options dot limit. Well, let's make this null safe. For description utils dot magnitude to seconds, half second. Actually, is that how I wanted to write it? I think that's fine. Current damage per half second. Okay. Paralyze by damage. Goodness gracious. Did I do everything correctly? So we've got the query target provider, damage dealt provider, and paralysis applicator. I think that's correct. Let's just go ahead and throw an ability builder dot damage of 50 onto it. Project settings, enable training dummy, and then we're going to add katana here. Build. Do you have an add-on library to share components between projects? I'm making mine while developing my game. I have to say that not coding hurtboxes and simple stuffs every time makes things wave fast. Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to do. I don't have a component library per se because I don't, like, I built up a bunch of components for Gunforge, but then I moved to a game, which is Alchemortis, which doesn't use any of those things. So I didn't really feel a need to, like, pull that out into a library, but I do have my own C# libraries, which are... They're available on my GitHub, github.com/firebelly/Godot utilities. And there's a bunch of like just the development tools for like getting easy references to nodes. I've also got like some weighted like loot table implementations there. I've got some state machine implementations there, a bunch of extension methods, that sort of thing. So yeah, that kind of thing can definitely be useful for sure. When you want to implement a new feature or something, how do you usually find out? Like, do you recommend for beginner to find the functions classes only documentation? So the documentation is only going to really help for the APIs that you have available to you from the engine, right? And the challenge is usually figuring out how to leverage those or how to not leverage those when you're trying to implement your own gameplay systems, right? So, yeah, I mean, and that kind of thing is just, you know, I still encounter situations sometimes where I'm doing something like a very obtuse way, and then I find out like, oh, there's a built-in like engine API that will do this for me. So a lot of it though is just experience, like learning like what the engine has, what functionality the engine has made available to you and what you need to implement yourself, and like how you can use those two things together to create your gameplay systems, right? And a lot of that just comes with experience. You know, reading the documentation definitely helps because you can figure out like what is generally available to you. But yeah, other than that, I guess I don't really know what to say about that. I think a lot of it is just experience, like I said, and then figuring out how to create your own systems that leverage those editor features. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, you can feel free to ask a follow-up. I don't want that. Put that here. Okay, so let's test the katana, build the translations before I forget so I don't get a bunch of random nonsense in my ability. Paralyze one random enemy item for 0.5 seconds per 15 damage dealt by this item since last execution. So 50 divided by 15 is 4, right? So we should paralyze for, or 50 divided by 15 would be 4. It's integer division, so there won't be a remainder. No, it's 3. It's 3. So we should paralyze an enemy for 1.5 seconds. On the second turn, though, because that ability executes first, and at that point of execution there will be no damage dealt. So it's not going to paralyze anything first. It's going to deal 50 damage, and then it should paralyze for 1.5 seconds if it worked correctly. It did not. That is wonderful. Interesting. Why didn't that work? Oh. I knew I was forgetting something. I need to wrap the paralysis in a new dynamic magnitude ability. Right. So here, paralysis magnitude provider, target ability paralysis applicator. Okay, and then this becomes dynamic magnitude paralysis. So I was configuring the buff applicator with an initial magnitude of 0, but in order to change what the magnitude provided to the paralysis is, I need to wrap it in a dynamic magnitude ability. And the reason this works is basically like the buff applicator implements, well, it actually inherits from base magnitude ability. And base magnitude ability is an I ability magnitude. This is basically just an ability that has a magnitude. So we've got a magnitude value, a base magnitude value. The reason why those things are separated is because base magnitude is like what is the default configured magnitude, whereas this magnitude value can be modified during combat. So this is the value that will be used whenever it's dealing damage or doing whatever. But I can always reset it to the base magnitude if I need it to go back to its default. Now in practice, I don't really do that much, but anyway. So yeah, this dynamic magnitude ability, it accepts a value provider and an I ability magnitude, and then it basically just when it executes, it sets the magnitude on the target ability to whatever the value from the value provider is. So I wasn't doing that stage, so the paralysis was just always 0 magnitude. So now it's correct. I think. We'll see. Knowing what the engine does allow you to create your own stuff. Got to study the engine for sure. Yeah, that definitely helps. All right, let's see. Let's just skip through the first couple of hits here. Okay, so 1.5 seconds remaining. Look at that. 0.6 seconds remaining. Excellent. And that value should go down. So if I do add item katana 5, it should be 11 damage now. So you actually get more paralysis out of it as you upgrade it. So that's 15, and this upgraded one is 11. So that's fine. We want to make this innate though. Is innate equals true. Okay, so ability 1 is done. True damage. What do we want to do? 7? Okay. And then if there's no adjacent item, gain crit bonus. So let's do, let's do that one. Var critical bonus. Give me 1 second. I need to go see what the dog is up to. All right, I'm back. So new non-combat composed ability. Let's see, what do we need to do here? So we want to query target provider. I keep doing that. Query target provider dot create options. Options dot query directions is equal to query directions dot adjacent options dot tag filter is equal to card tag dot weapon. I think that's basically it. Self-critical bonus. We'll have a new self-critical bonus modification. Base value. Okay, so var our const int base critical bonus is equal to 5. Var current critical bonus base critical bonus. So let's do current critical bonus there. This needs to be wrapped in a conditional. Conditional is equal to new conditional ability decorator self-critical bonus. The condition query target provider dot get value is equal to 0. So we put the query target provider in there, and then we put the conditional in there. This is a critical bonus, right? Okay, so the tier here, ability scalars, make additive scalar 1. Current critical bonus is equal to scalar base critical bonus tier. And then we need to do self-critical bonus dot set scaled magnitude to current critical bonus. Description template gain 0 critical bonus if there are no. Can I do this? Query target provider to query string template 1. I think that might work, but I'm not exactly sure. I just realized that I probably don't need to do that. Okay, so this would be card katana critical bonus. And that will be passive, and we want to add that here. Okay. Build. Did you come up with first the system and develop your idea, or with the alchemy fantasy? So I think when I started this game, I started it with the idea that I wanted to do a single player auto battler roguelike with a necromancy theme. The alchemy idea actually came a little bit later. So initially it was just supposed to be a very simple auto battler with just like a necromancy theme. But then, you know, after I started prototyping, I realized that I needed a way to distinguish the game. And so I was like, well, you know, what if I introduce alchemy into it? And then the alchemy can be used to like mix and match the abilities on things. So that was definitely like something I figured out early in prototyping. And I think that's why prototyping is important too, is like, you know, I was really trying hard with this when I first started prototyping this game to say, okay, like I want there to be something appealing in terms of the fantasy, but I also want to have like a strong hook behind it. Kind of just trying to follow the advice that game dev YouTubers give. And so when I was prototyping, I realized like, yeah, there wasn't really much setting the game apart from other auto battlers. And so that's where the alchemy came in. But it wasn't like I knew how the alchemy system was going to work right from the beginning. Like the way it worked initially is actually really terrible. But again, just trying to figure out like, how do I really give this game a strong identity? And eventually over a couple iterations, I decided, well, the alchemy should just be always available. And then, you know, of course, tweaking how the alchemy works, and then reagents came later. But all that stuff was flowing from this idea. Like I was trying to like, how do I make alchemy the core of the experience? Because that's obviously what's going to set this game apart from just like the visual theme. The alchemy system was what's going to make this game unique, right? And so then the problem became, okay, how do I make as many of the game systems as possible either directly or indirectly dependent on the alchemy? And how do I like really lean into that? And so again, it was like an iterative process. So it wasn't like I came up with the alchemy idea and I was like, okay, it's done. Now I just got to build the rest of the game. It was like a process of, first of all, starting with no hook, realizing I didn't have a hook, finding a hook for my game, and then trying to make everything revolve around that, or, you know, make it at least very prominent in the game. And that's why the playtest, like a lot of people in the chat here and who are in the Discord have been trying out the Alchemortis playtest since the first one, and a lot of the refinement of the hook was based on that feedback, right? It wasn't really any of my own super creative original ideas. It was mostly like people played the first playtest and they were like, well, the alchemy is cool, but you know, I can only use it sometimes, right? And so yeah, anyway, like everything else in game development, I've sort of figured out that even if you have a good idea to start, it's probably not going to end up being, you know, close to final. Like you have to iterate everything. Like everything's going to go through multiple iterations and changes, but yeah, the necromancy theme and the alchemy idea, those were at least present in the game within the first like month or so of development, and then the rest of the development was basically like trying to get all the pieces to work, right? And if I was a more experienced game developer, I would have probably done that much quicker, but I'm not a more experienced game developer, so it took me multiple iterations to get it into a good spot, I think. Yeah, that's true too, Gimity. I don't think, yeah, like knowing the ins and outs of the engine is not a necessity. If you know just enough to get done what you need to get done, like that's what I was saying earlier, like there are pieces of engine features and functionality that I'm still learning, and I've been using Godot for years, but you know, I just found out about like the control point, the control node has point override, and that was something brand new to me, and it was just right in the docs the whole time. You know, so like you definitely don't need to know everything, but yeah. Did you first think about mixing a game and then you realized alchemy fit the best, or you wanted to make an alchemy game? I think I explained that. Yeah. You to learn how to write code that isn't dependent on when the engine decides to process something. Hello, Neozoid, welcome back. You should clip this and post a short. Very interesting. That's a good idea. You deleted your own comment? What did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't read the chat fast enough. What am I doing? Oh, right, build the translations and then go. All right, here we go. Gain 5 critical bonus if there are no adjacent weapon items. So let's add another katana. And let's see if these cancel each other out. Yep, they do. So I probably want to give this a higher critical bonus as well. Let's see. Critical bonus 5. Let's turn down the cooldown a little bit. I think I need to mess with the cooldowns a little bit more. I think there are some items in the game whose cooldowns are too long, and I think there are also some items in the game whose cooldowns are too short. Do I need to give it a critical chance as well? I probably should, shouldn't I? What do we feel like for critical chance? I actually don't have that many options when it comes to critical chance because I'm almost always doing increments of... Actually, we can maybe pull in the haiku idea from here. 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So let's make the turn cooldown 5. Let's make which one appears first? The critical chance appears first. So we'll do critical chance of, do I want to make it 7? That feels too low, but that's okay. 5, 7, and then the critical bonus here. See, if I keep it as 2, then it will be 5, 7. 5, 7, 5. Maybe I'll just do that. 5, wait. Oh, I did it wrong. This has to be 0, I guess. Well, that feels too weak now. Gosh, but I want it to be thematic though. Whatever. We're gonna roll with it. Well, since it, well, shoot. Does this go up when it gets upgraded? I think it does, right? Yeah, it goes up to 9. Well, we'll just make the base item 575. Are you working with a single monitor? No, I have my OBS on another monitor. I do all my game development on a single monitor. Like I just flip between Godot and VS Code. But I have a bunch of like I'll pull up, you know, videos, or in this case, while I'm streaming, OBS is on the other monitor. Is Alcamortis my longest project? Of consistent effort, yes, probably. So if you were to tally up the total amount of time that I spent on a game project, this one would probably be the most, yes. All right, I think we can call the katana good. What do you guys think? Unfortunately, you will not be able to play with this until the full game releases. I've been studying game dev for the past weeks, but man, art is so hard. It's been depressing whenever I try to do it myself and not use public assets. Yes, it is like that when you first start. Trust me, I've been there. Like, there's nothing more demoralizing than spending, you know, an hour on a very small sprite and it just looks like garbage. But you have to kind of trust that that is part of the learning experience, that even though it feels like a wasted hour, it's really not. And there's going to be many more hours like that before you start to get a hang of what you're trying to do. And so it's just like any learning process, right? Like your first many attempts are not going to be that great, but you know, as you sleep on it and as you practice more, you'll start to figure out like why things aren't looking the way that you want them to. And you know, of course, drawing a variety of items helps too, because then you get exposed to like drawing organic things versus inorganic things, and you know, drawing different, like representing different texture types. So all of it, it's just about experience, and it can be very frustrating and demoralizing, but that is part of the learning process, and you just kind of have to trust that if you stick with it, you will see improvement. I think we're good. I think the katana's done. Sweet. Feels good to be back doing content development. I've been just doing demo stuff for like the past week. Alrighty then. So look at all this. I can't mark any of these things as done because I haven't added the flavor text. I'm also working on the undead horse, which is going to have a special interaction, but I don't want to reveal that on stream. I have to leave some secrets for you guys to discover when the game is released. So my hope is that for all of you who have put many hours into the playtest, there is going to be plenty of new content by the time the game releases, plenty of new secrets, plenty of new surprises. So I don't want you to feel like since you've played the playtest, you've basically encountered everything the game has to offer. But that also means that I'm not going to be able to show a lot of the new content development on stream. So I'll probably be adding a lot more artifacts, which I won't mention. Probably be adding a lot of new reagents, which I won't mention, a lot of new items. So that way, at least for the people who have been playing the game, you know, you get a little bit of that extra discovery you could do. So it's your AAA project game, I guess. So art is a whole lifelong journey in and of itself. Try to enjoy it for what it is, because it's really not just a side quest for game dev. It'll take some time to learn and practice the fundamentals. That is true. What is this board app? Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Alrighty, what else should we do? I don't know why I'm looking in the backlog for things. This is not really content. There was a bug that was kind of bothering me. Do I want to fix that? Oh yeah, this one. I kind of want to fix this, but I also want to do more content. Do we have any interesting artifact ideas in here? I do want to change the Necromancer Skull Wand, actually. This is not really new content, but... Actually, delete that one. Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have deleted that then. Nerf Necromancer starting artifact. And we're just going to make the bonus make bonus only apply. This should also help with the wordiness of the artifact as well. So if I go to minion crit chance, we're just going to get rid of this. So we're just going to buff this up. So critical bonus. Let's do 20 for that. So you don't lose anything for the undead minions. And then the critical bonus. Maybe 3. Okay. Let's edit the here. So this should make it less wordier, give it a stronger identity. Critical chance and critical bonus are increased by 0 and 1 respectively for undead minions. So we'll save that. So now this goes away. Undead critical chance bonus, undead critical bonus. That's kind of fun. We get rid of these. This becomes just this and just that. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Get minion only abilities, goodbye. Okay. Do you have like a global table for stats? I do not. We're doing vibes-based balancing here. No, the reason why I've never found like a table to be super useful is because there's just a lot of situational stuff. Like it would not necessarily be that useful just to look at the raw stats of everything, because there are items that are deliberately not very strong on their raw stats, but maybe they have an ability that if you synergize it well, it becomes really powerful. And I think that's just hard to measure in a useful way. So I'm kind of like only half joking when I say it's vibes-based balancing. Because I don't really know if any sort of like numerical tracking would be helpful. Like even if I were to, for example, track like win rates and pick rates of certain items, that doesn't even tell me that much either, because there are certain items that are designed to be situational, where they are powerful in very specific circumstances, and so you would expect that the rate at which they're picked would be a lot lower. Now, maybe it could still be helpful, right? Like maybe you could still, for example, see, like you could look at, okay, what are the items with the lowest pick rates? And then you could go like, or I could go one by one and say, well, that item's situational, so that's okay. That item's situational, so it's okay. But this is a general item that's useful, I think, in a lot of contexts, and is not being picked. So that might be an indicator of something that needs to be buffed for sure. But yeah, when your legs don't work like they used to before, what do you mean? Anyway, but this is like the closest thing that I have to like a debug tool here. So like I'm able to filter out like all of the items. Why is this considered a weapon? Interesting. I'm able to filter out all the items. And so I can just like kind of hover over them and filter them by category so I can see, generally speaking, like what's been implemented. So like I'm filtering by enemy. So these are all the Inquisition items that I have in the game. And so I can kind of go in here and I can see, okay, like how many are fire? Okay, so there's that many fire items. There's no poison. Inquisition doesn't do poison. We've got holy. We've got one echo item. Couple of bleed, right? So this is just like a loose tool that I have to like try to find gaps in abilities, but it's not very sophisticated, you know. There's no enemy items with exhaust. Interesting. I gotta add more enemy items for sure. But anyway. All the cards I see are the opponent use in combat cards the players can find and use. Yes, there are ways in which you can acquire enemy items. One of the main ways to do it is through the obelisk. So there's an obelisk power. I guess I don't really need to show this because it's just code, but I'm mostly just refamiliarizing it myself. Yeah, so there's an obelisk power that transforms a random node into a booster. And then it grants only Inquisition items. So that's one of the ways that you can acquire enemy items. There's a couple of others, which I won't get into, but... So yeah, the enemy items are a little bit harder to get, obviously, though. But you can get them, and they're like little nice wild cards that you can include in your build if you want to. I figured, you know, it'd be a shame if like I put all these effort into all these enemy items and like they were just for the sort of NPC fights that you were doing. So, because they're just items at the end of the day, like I can just go ahead and add a ballista. And like this is now in my control, even though this is an enemy item, it just works, right? I had a feeling you wouldn't get it. I still don't get it, I'm sorry to say. Can't sweep you off your feet. I made a shorter TikTok. Oh, you made a shorter TikTok about how you managed to load all items on screen super fast. Gotta watch it again. Yeah, was it? Did I make a short version? I know which video you're talking about. I don't think I made a short version though. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh, I want to check the minion crit chance. Critical chance and critical bonus are increased by 20% and 3% respectively for undead minions. That is just a lot easier to understand, number one. And number two, it gives it a stronger identity for sure. There we go. Okay. Good. So let's just like nerf Skull Wand. Let's see, how much time do I have? I think it's all right. I think I have time. Okay. I do want to try allowing map access during encounters. This is something that I actually want to get started on. It's not content per se, but this has been a common point of feedback, and I also want to do it for the demo. So, allow map access during encounters. Let's see what we could do about this. Trying to think of like what the easiest way to do this is. Do I want to start with... So I probably want another drawer toggle button here. Let's just do this. Map toggle button. We'll just keep it the same. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, so combat summary toggle button. Map toggle button dot pressed plus equals on map toggle button pressed. I may elevate that to, I have a drawer UI actually. Let's just do a signal. Yeah, I might as well do a signal here. Public delegate void map toggle requested event handler, something like that. Okay, so in the run manager, on ready, initialize. Oh, that's initialize. I really don't have a ready method? Interesting. Okay, well. Drawer UI dot map toggle requested plus equals on map toggle requested. Scroll all the way down. On map toggle requested. Okay, so this is going to be the hard part. Game UI dot fade in. Show game UI. Show map, hide map. So do I need to do, let's just do this. I'm just going to see what happens if I do that. Okay. Obviously that's not going to work, but I just want to see like what is the level of effort required to just get the map to show. The other thing that may be a little bit annoying, well, let's see. So if I go in here and I toggle this, that doesn't do anything. Okay. Wait, are we talking game dev here? I'm lost. I'm sorry. I don't. That leg thing threw me for a loop, and I have no idea. I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of my life. This doesn't do anything, huh? Who made this game? Is it even working? Attach to process. Godot. Oh, it's not even doing anything. Probably because I never emitted that signal. Hello, Mems Dev. Nobody tell him. All right, I'm going to start banning everyone in the chat until somebody tells me what's going on. Let's see, who's first up with the list? All right, Gimity, the ban hammer of Damocles is hanging over your head. I will start banning people until somebody comes forward. Oh, that worked pretty well, actually. I need to... oh, there's going to be a bunch of things I need to do here. I'm kidding, of course. I don't ban people unless they deserve it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, no one is deserving of it at the moment. So there's a lot going on here that I'm not entirely sure how to manage. Hide game UI. fade out, game UI fade out, tween action visible equals false. Oh, you know what? I think I'm probably, yeah, emit signal input lock requested. Okay. So I need to like manage this a whole different way. This is going to be probably something that's very dangerous to do because there's probably gonna be some edge cases that break everything. So when I'm in an event, is there a reason why I need to split these up? I'm sure there is. Show map. So we've got await hide game UI, set visited, show map. Where is the emit signal input lock requested? Input lock. Input unlock requested. That's only happening in the state map idle. Input lock requested is happening in state map init and state map travel. Okay. So here what I need to do is I probably need to do, let me just see if I can get an inkling of this working. So we're going to do await hide game UI, emit signal, input unlock requested, show map. The problem is that's going to be clickable now. So I'm going to need to store additional state to make sure I can't travel to another node while I'm in an event. So I need a way of reorganizing this to like really lock it down, because otherwise if I have to manage a bunch of state, oh, that didn't work. Okay. If I have to manage a bunch of state to make sure that this works properly, I'm probably going to get into a bad state at some point, and that's going to be no good. This is exactly where like the soft lock kind of issues can come in. I still can't click. What? Well, what I can do is I can just click, and then what I can do is I can go to my debugger and I can look at the last click control. Inventory toggle button. That was the last clicked control. Okay, so why is my... I don't know why I can't click on anything. I also can't move the map. Why is that happening? Emit signal unlock requested. Unlock requested. This is not doing any kind of input locking, is it? No. Why is my input still blocked? Put this there. I'm trying to think, where would my input be being blocked? Just click it again. Oh, there's more than one lock on it. Okay. Interesting. There's more than one lock on it. On inventory opened. Oh, I see. My inventory is... Wait a minute. I tried that, though. If my inventory is open, the lock remains. But I thought I... Oh, the other problem... I guess the other problem is I can't actually close the inventory. Right. So the problem is... So even if I click to go back to the map here, I can't actually close the inventory. It's forced open for the event. So I also need to somehow close the inventory. Oh, this is going to be a mess. The screen dimmer is not there either. So I need to show... So there's a bunch of things I actually need to do. Let me start taking some notes on this. In progress. So allow map access during encounters. So we need to streamline and harden switch between event view and map view. Allow closing the inventory when switching to map. Auto close if applicable, maybe. Show the screen dimmer. Auto inventory of switching to map view. What else? Disable the map view button when not in event or event is finished. Well, this is going to be actually really hard. What is that? Equals and then a function that just discard the result. Oh, so that's just a way of appeasing the analyzer. So this show map returns a task, and the analyzer is basically just saying you're using an asynchronous method that is not awaited. But sometimes you do want to call an asynchronous method without awaiting it, and so the way to shut that up is just to do like a discard and just like say, I don't care about the result. So this is like a discard. I think that's just a style thing. I think you can turn off that warning. Or that little, I don't know, is that a warning? But yeah. Have you watched the video about the Slay the Spire 2 code, how they implement their systems and how they test the game? It's very interesting. I have not. I've been meaning to watch that. Hello, XVR. Beautiful aesthetics. Thank you. I appreciate that. Check diff. Maybe you messed something. I don't think so. My diff is not that big. You think it's worth using native AOT with Godot for release builds? I looked into doing that for Alka Mortis, and I don't remember exactly why, but I came to the conclusion that it's probably not a good idea to do that. And the reason is because I actually can't remember. I think I was worried that the native AOT compilation was going to break the GD extensions that I'm using. Or at least that was a possibility. So I mean, I could try it. You know, there's like, I could always try it and see what happens. But I honestly didn't even want to deal with any potential issues. So I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. It's fine. I saw that video was pretty cool. It mostly how I would expect it when built properly, but for sure an exception in game dev. Great chat, love game devs. Honestly, this map thing, I'm going to need to think about this some more because I don't really know. Like, I'm going to have to rework so many things in this run manager to get this to work. I'm mostly worried about getting into a bad state. Also, I don't even know if this is the right way to present this as a tab here. Is that the right way to do it? So if I go here, this tab would only be visible when you're inside of an event. Yeah, I don't know. Yo, didn't know it was open playtest. Definitely playing it later today. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, there's an open playtest. Actually, you know what? I do have some stuff that I need to do. So I'm actually going to go and do that. Push the branch. I guess I'm not really doing much of anything, but anyway, that was a pretty long, I guess not that long of a stream, 2 hours again, but that's all right. But yeah, Alchemortis is available for playtesting on Steam. So if you head on over to the Steam page, you could just click request access. I'm also worried about bats. You'll never find me in New York. Goodness gracious. Don't tell anyone I live in Ohio. But anyway, you could join the Alchemortis playtest. The link for that is in the description, or yeah, the Steam page is in the description. Just click the request access button, you'll get instant access. The playtest is running for like another 4 or 5 days, something like that. So yeah, you've got plenty of time to try the game out. Let me know what you think. You could join the Discord and leave your feedback as well. And yeah, I answered that, so that's good. Glad I'm preemptively answering your questions. So yeah, got plenty of time. But anyway, I'm gonna go do some more errands because that's what having a life is like, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you for your support. It was always good chatting with all of you. And I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye.